So now I'm going to talk about one of my major projects ongoing in our lab, which is actually gene therapy from clinical model to clinical application. So since Professor Hassan talked about CRISPR, so I have the privilege to come across Nathalie Charpentier, who was actually Nobel Prize in 2020. She's the one who uncovered the CRISPR-Cas9 used in gene editing. I came across her, I think it's 2019, we were in a similar meeting. But I knew at that time that she's very talented and she was really working hard, and she got 2 years later Nobel Prize. That's just to remind you. That is, I just added actually because it reminded me now. So actually, this is my team again. This is the actual members. This is the past members and our collaborators. And so when I'm teaching in student, I always ask the question, what's the most hard handicap? Is it blindness or deafness? And always at the beginning of my course, they all 90% reply that the blindness, because this generation is generate color, and they think that everything is colored, that's life. So when I end my course, I get the opposite, because I explain how the handicap of deafness is impact the daily life of the affected patient. And this is Helen Keller. It's a writer, American writer. I think she got her status in the Congress. There are two women starting in the Congress of the United States. There's Helen Keller and Rosa Parks, the two women. The other are just the ex-president of the United States. Two women, Helen Keller and Rosa Parks, was their statue representing the Congress, which means how important this writer. So ask her this question: she was blind and deaf, and she learned how to write, and she wrote two great books. And they ask her the same question: what's the most difficult for you? Is the blindness or the deafness? And her answer: blindness cut us from things, colors, landscapes, but the deafness cut us from people. So when you are deaf, I think, know that I'm not, but you are deaf, you are basically living another world than the normal hearing people. You have to have the special school, special university, you have to get education, training, you have to learn 2 languages, sign language, and also you have to learn how to understand the normal hearing people, and that's make their life very hard. That's why people are just, the young people now, they are, I think at least my students realize that blindness is not that hard to live normally in the modern world. So this is just show you the cochlea and the target for gene therapy. This is the organ of Corti, the outer head cells, the amplifier, and the inner head cell, the genuine sensory hair cells. So I'm going to talk about 2 examples that are nearly, one is ongoing clinical trial, and the other one is will be next. The one Dfnb9 I told you about it with stereocinin affect the outer head cells without the amplifier. The patient are not profoundly deaf, but they are losing their hearing progressively with their life. And the other one is Dfnb9, which is actually the ongoing clinical trial, for whom we identified the gene in 1990, this is nearly more than 20 years ago. And this is auditory synaptopathy, which is actually without autopharin, without Dfnb9 gene functional, the deafness is profound. And this is Safieddine. She's an Iranian student. She was a PhD student in my lab, and now she is a postdoc. And she was planning to leave the US for doing a postdoc. And Trump came, and everything blocked. So she's looking for a postdoc. She cannot say in my lab because pastor, there is a certain period of time that student can spend in the same lab for during his postdoctoral period. So I have a very simple definition for gene therapy. This is gene replacement or gene augmentation. So the human genome is known, and when you identify a defective gene, you can just make a gene bench and make it in vehicle with a very specific and precise GPS to target the cell you want to target. And if you design a good therapeutic vector and the vehicle with the very precise GPS, you can deliver the target, the gene, the correct gene to target cell and make the cell happy. That's how oversimplified definition for gene therapy. So CPD her project was to carry out gene therapy to restore hearing in Dfnb9 mouse model. As you know, the Dfnb9 is the second most common deafness in human. It's about 16%. And the deafness is not profound, is mild to moderate, and it's due to mutation in psilocybin gene, which is invalidate psilocybin expression. And psilocybin, this is expression of psilocybin here in green, is expressed in the outer head cells, not in inner head cells. And this is a scanning extramammograph showing this immunogold particle on the top of the stereocilia, where psilocybin is expressed. And the role of psilocybin, this protein here, is to glue actually the tactile membrane to towards stereocilia of the hair cells. So without psilocybin, there is no glue between the tallest stereocilia and the tactile membrane. And of course, that's led to the failure of the cochlear amplifier and hearing loss. So this is the mouse we made. This is a knockout mouse. This is a wild type, but you have the stereocilia here in the outer cells, very nice V shape. Remember the stereocilia I showed you before. And this is a zoom in, show really the stereocilia expressed in the top of the stereocilia of the outer head cells. When stereocilia is lacking, you have this stereocilia very well disorganized, and that's lead to the absence of DPOA, which is a byproduct of the outer head cell function, and hearing loss that go to the profound after 1 month of age. And so she carried out this gene therapy. She first make this is a molecular genetic cuisine just to make the virus working, because the stereocilia is too big. So we cut it in half and make sure that this two half can be recombined within the cell that's treated with the virus and express stereocilia. And this is just control how things works in molecular genetics. And this acted the real control. When you treat the mice with just the N-terminus of the protein, there is nothing expressed, or the C-terminus, nothing expressed. If you treat with both, you can have very nicely expression and targeting of stereocilia on the outer head cell, not in the inner head cell, which was very encouraging for us. And what she was doing, she went to this morning. We were talking about the time window for gene therapy, because the mice, it has a maturation of the uterine system much later than the human. As I said, human is in utero and the mouse is after birth, and we have to find the time window after the hearing onset to be able to translate what we found in gene therapy to human. So what she did, she treated several mice from P1, the first day after birth, up to P9. What you could see here, it's up to 5. She was able to restore actually the DPOA, the function of the outer head cells. However, after P5, there is no hearing restoration of the mice, no DPOA and no ABR. So it means that we are stuck with neonatal treatment. So she focused on that in that age. So what you found, this is actually correlate well with the expression of the therapeutic gene. You see up to P5, you get expression of psilocybin in the outer head cells, but not at P7. which means that this cell became reluctant to be infected by the therapeutic vector that we designed. And that we know why, because the vector we use, you see, in fact, the outer health cells, but not the inner health cells. So we know that if we get, and we are working to get a virus that can target efficiently the outer health cells to, at the adult stage, to be able to transpose this application to human. So this is, so she should focus on neonatal. This is a wild type mice. This is the mutant mice that I showed you before. And this is gene therapy, mutant mice treated with stereosilin therapeutic vector. You could see that here, the protein is not went everywhere, but it really targets it to the top of the stereocilia, as shown here. And of course, this led to, actually what we get is, the maximum we get is about 60% of the outer cell infected by the virus. But the targeting is perfect. So one of the footprint of stereosilin is the imprint of stereosilin on the tectural membrane. As I told you, the tallest stereocilia glue the tectural membrane to the stereocilia. And that allows the stereocilia to amplify the incoming sound. So this why this imprint are here. And we thought that to check if therapeutic protein did the same job, this is a tectural membrane incubated with the stereosilin antibody. You can see here, they're very nice V shapes. And the stereosilin without treatment, there is no stereosilin. And we recover some of this outer health cell, the V shape, which means that our therapeutic protein travel from the hair cells up to the tectural membrane to glue it with stereocilia. And of course, what we verify also, that structure is restored. This is a scanning electromicrograph of the treated mice. You could see that the V shape is really comparable to the wild type level when you look at the mutant, where the stereocilia are very disorganized in this mice. Now, of course, what we also, she checked also the social product to F2 minus F2. You see there is no signal in the stereosilin knockout mice, but after treatment, we recover the DPOA, and she also the DPOA threshold also is recovered. And the treated mice here, shown here, is nearly similar to the wild type level. And of course, the 2F1 2F2 amplitude is also restored to the wild type level. And she monitored actually the longevity of the hearing up to 6 months, and we get very stable restoration of hearing. We inject just 1 microliter of the viral preparation. There is not much, and she was able to the hearing loss for more than a month. And of course it restored here ABR DPOA. But interesting, what was I surprised about it is we don't need actually the 100% of the outer head cell infected. We get just 60%, and you get nearly normal auditory brainstem response threshold and normal DPOA, which means that this is very encouraging. We need just a major fraction of the outer head cell transduced, not all of them to get the hearing restored. So this is the conclusion of this work. So gene therapy reinstates stereosilin expression and targeting to the outer head cells, rescue normal structure of the outer head cell bundle, restore function of the outer head cells, and this led to long-lasting hearing restoration in the treated mice, which is very encouraging for us to go a step forward. So one question we ask is when you treat the peripheral system here, the cochlea, is miles away from the cortical cortex. So we don't know actually what's happening between the cochlea and the brain, because the auditory brainstem responses are just electrical activity of the neurons. They don't tell us if the mice is hearing the same thing. So we want exactly to see, as we said, we listen with our ear, but we hear with our brain. So we want to see whether peripheral gene therapy can also restore the connection between the cochlear nuclei and the auditory cortex, ensuring auditory process, normal auditory processing. So this is actually a behavioral. So actually, we train the mice to tell us what frequency she's able to differentiate, to distinguish. I think there is a movie here. Actually, the mice she learned to associate 6 kilohertz to real world. So when she hears 6 kilohertz, she will drink water or milk through this channel here. But all the other frequencies are no-go. This is go and no-go test. So if I can get to the... I see. And enter trial, no response. Blank trial, she's not responding. Trial, let's go. It stopped. Blank. Trial. So she learned now that at 6 kilohertz she has to drink, and that's allow us to understand what's going on in the other processing in this treated mice, and we can monitor the training of the mice. You see, she learned as fast as the wild type mice. You see this curve? So she learned to associate 6 kilohertz to the licking or to the reward very efficiently, and the behavior go versus no go responses is comparable between the two, the wild type and the treated mice. And you can draw this kind of curve. This the behavior, the number of lick between the treated and untreated, they are very similar, and also the behavior go versus blank is comparable to the wild type mice, meaning that this mice has learned very much to differentiate frequency. And you can also come up with this kind of curve, which is called psychophysic performance, which you see. This is the green is the treated mice, and the wild type mice, they behave exactly the same thing. So we are moving back forward around 6 kilohertz. The response are going down. So this means that the both mice can differentiate between 6 kilohertz on the other frequency up to 16 kilohertz, meaning that the central audit processing took place even when we treat the gene therapy at the peripheral organ. So, and this is very important because we did not actually, nobody know up to, I think it's not like this result is, we don't even submit them, but we know that the peripheral gene therapy can restore the connection between the cochlea and the auditory cortex for normal auditory processing. So this is the ongoing clinical trial. I think this slide I made it in 2019, and it was considered as science fiction. So I said, okay, we can go from the mouse to the clinic, but was just nobody believed it. But I said to my student, just go ahead and do it, and we'll see after. So that's what we did. That's what we did actually. So now gene therapy is taking place in human. You see, Sky News, CNN, Sky News, CNN. This is CBS News, and I think this is a Washington Post article. They're talking about this clinical trial, and sorry, yeah, there is one picture mismatched. But why this is clinical trial goes so fast? Because we're able to show that this is actually Dfnb9 mouse model. They don't have any autofilling, right? See, and the IBR are just absent. There is no IBR. So in this mouse model, which is deaf, they have 1 month, which means it's equivalent to a child about 2.5 years, 3 years of age. So we ask the question whether gene therapy delivered to the cochlea can restore the connection between the cochlea and the cochlear nuclei and also the auditory cortex. And that was not easy because P30 is the upper limit of the critical period in mice. The literature, if you know literature said above 30 days of age, the plasticity of the central auditory system is shaped already, and it is too late to do anything to restore the connection between the cochlea and the central auditory system. So what we what we show that the treated these deaf mice at 30 days, we were able to re-express the autophyllin specifically in the inner head cells at mature stage, and we restore the ABR threshold in this mice, just like the wild type mice. And this is actually what the proof of concept that you can render a deaf mice, which provide deaf patient, a normally hearing person, if it's treated correctly with the very well vector design. And so this is show that this is connection reestablished. And we did some behavioral. This is a starter reflex, which could show that the mice treated respond exactly the same way of the treated mice. And this is pre-pulse inhibition. Showed also that there is a trend that the wild type in black here and the green and the orange are doing the same behavior when we present this PPI pre-pulse inhibition. And this is another way to make the mouse talking to us. There's another behavioral test. Here, this mouse, the food is free, go everywhere, you can food. But to drink water, it has to go to this door. And this door, you can detect it by a system in the animal house. We can manage the mouse from home, actually. We don't have to be in the animal house. So if the mouse wants to drink, she will go through this door and lick, like I showed you before. And we can, this time we used 6.8 kilohertz as the go. So 6 kilohertz at the go, she lick. And other frequency are no go, which you could see here, for example. This is a wild type mice, you see. This is where gradually moving the frequency up to 4% difference, and the mice can differentiate up to 10% difference between two frequencies. And the wild type, non-treated mice, they are responding randomly, go or no go, without any preferences. But the mouse-treated mice, they differentiate really very significantly to frequency, meaning that these mice are capable to differentiate between the two frequency very distinctly. And in conclusion, so cochlear gene therapy can restore frequency discrimination, indicating the recovery of central auditory processing. But this was achieved when treatment was administered late at the end of the cochlear period, a time when the central auditory circuit had been deprived of the peripheral input needed before its maturation. This is a very important indication and very optimistic finding that we can hope that this can actually is taking place also in human, because I think the patient treated in Beijing, it was 7 years old, and he recovered some hearing very significantly. So actually, this is the patient with, actually, it's my competitor and my friend at the same time. So, but the Chinese, I mean, we always said that the European invent and the Chinese replicate. We don't care about what's the pattern. Actually, we patent this result, but the country that respect the pattern is Europe, USA, or not. But Chinese, they just replicate and do the clinical trial as they wish, because the timeline of the Chinese clinical trial is probably half of the one we go through to this clinical trial. So this is actually a patient, a child treated with gene therapy, and what you could see, the first weeks. He did not react to sound, and then he starts turning his head toward the sound sources very precisely, when in left or right or behind, and then he starts talking to his mother or his father about answering this question. It's actually, if I could. Six weeks.
Hello， 李卫星，叫妈妈，妈妈。
小鸡怎么叫啊？小鸡怎么叫？ Chào mama. Mama. Chào papa. Papa. Nên này nè. Yeah, yeah.
So this is actually very surprising for me because the protein is so big, and within few weeks he started reacting sound, which means it was surpassed my prediction. And this is I think it's very encouraging for this kind of auditory synaptopathy, and which mean that we did a good job in our lab because it's replicated in China. And there are also a clinical trial in the US and also in England. They are the same trends. There are a lot of variability, but the trends is the restoration is very, very, very significant. And even though the compare, there is a paper from Beijing lab, and they were comparing patients that were implanted in one side and treated with gene therapy the other side. And you are comparing the reaction of the preference of the patient, and the patient prefer a lot more the treated ear with gene therapy because, and I understand because we are restoring the normal hearing, the natural hearing. It's not electrical stimulation. So the hair cell is a releasing transmitter, is not sending electroshock to the neurons, which is very very nice for this patient. So I hope we can get forward. I think it's stuck. Why need again? Oh, so this is what I think about. We discuss the coffee break. I think we don't have to expect too much because gene therapy will work for some hearing loss, genetic hearing loss, but not for all. But we don't also express expectation too low because we get funded from our institution, the government. So we give you the money to do the job and say, okay, this is useless. So there is a balance that we have to find to communicate the result and try to reassure the industrial cochlear model that this is not the final for the future, but still, if you can get 3 to 5% of the patient can treat with gene therapy, it could be something very, very exciting. But I think the field will move forward anyway, and there are a lot of investment going on worldwide to deal with other forms of gene therapy, including our lab. That's the and my team especially. We are really putting a lot of effort to come up with vector that can target the major outer hair cell. But when you get this result, we get a message from people that they are treating with, we are playing gods. But what we are doing is just making machinery of the hair cell working. We don't add anything else from up in the nature and push back to normal. There is no, but we get a lot of calls and Facebooks and Instagram. But hopefully, Pastor was protecting us from those comments because what normally what the deaf people said. Okay, I'm happy with my deafness. I don't need your gene or your gene therapy. I'm happy in my family. I don't want so. What I told him, it's not an obligation. It's an option beside the hearing aids and cochlear implant. There's no obligation that you will take gene therapy if you don't like it. It's just, and that was very tough to go through this turbulence during that clinical trial. So this is my teams. They're pushing hard toward finding a good vector for next future gene therapy for hearing loss. And thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions.